Hey folks, welcome back after the summer break, and we're starting off now with this little beaut, the Wuben X1 Falcon. And you know when you come across a light every now and then that you really like and you really think the manufacturer's thought out, this is one of them. So I'll run through with you why I like it so much, but let's just get out of the way what it comes with. A pretty decent pouch there with a belt clip, or I think they call that a carbon armour holder, don't they? Probably pronounced that wrong. And it fits quite nicely and snugly in there. Not too tight, it will fall out if you turn it upside down. The manual, pretty decent. I haven't seen a light come with one of these before. A pretty decent paracord which we can attach onto the bottom of the light, and USB-C charging, and it's the super fast USB-C charging, not the slow version. First impressions, out of the box, it feels really hefty and well built, and of course the design, this kind of flat square design, which is actually really comfortable to hold, either in that orientation if you prefer, or to be honest, I've kind of been using it like that. The button's easily accessible either way. So in the first instance, let's have a quick look at the specification. I'll pop a link in the description to Wuben's webpage, and you can look up the X1, and there's lots of information that you can peruse at your leisure regarding the light in question. But a couple of the bits that I'll be picking out and emphasising actually on the review. What does this mean? 3000 lumens constant current, I'll explain that, and the efficient active cooling system. But we'll come back to that as part of the review. And instead, scroll down to the bottom. Lots of useful information there for us. And then looking at the, I'll make that a little bit bigger. Looking at the factory standard settings. Turbo, 12,000 to 3,000 lumens. 1 minute for the 12,000, then another hour and a half thereafter. High, 2600 for 2 hours. Medium, 1000 for 5.5 hours. Low, 400 for 14 hours. And Eco, 20 lumens for 220 hours with the throw distance there, and a couple of other parameters that we'll already touch on. The one thing that's not jumping out at me, which again I will cover during the review, is that these figures here are for the high, medium, low and eco. You can change those. So this is just simply what it comes with from the factory. But again, we'll have a look at that shortly. So I think that's it with the web page. No, it isn't. Let me just quickly show you on Amazon UK at the moment. If you're in the UK, there's currently a 30% voucher off, £179.99 with 30% off. So that's quite a good offer at the moment. If you want him on pretty quickly after looking at this review. Anyway, let's carry on. In terms of the operation, 4 clicks to lock the light, 4 clicks to unlock the light. If it's locked and you try and turn it on, this little button here, which also doubles as the power indicator, will come on and warn you. Otherwise, it's a 1 click on and a 1 click off with a memory mode. In on, we cycle through our main group by just simply holding the power button. And as mentioned, if we turn off, say for example on high, 1 click off, when we next use the light, it will remember where we were. In any state, double click takes us to turbo. When we're in turbo, we can hold the button and cycle through our modes again. Or with the 1 click off. Your blinky modes are 3 clicks, another 3 to take you to SOS, and then you can keep on doing the 3 clicks and working your way around, or 1 click takes us back. to where we were. Now, something I mentioned when we were looking at Wuben's web page was the active cooling, and what that is, you can probably just see it tucked away in there. There's a little fan in there with the outlet there. It doesn't come on automatically, it comes on when it's needed based on the temperature. So at the moment I'm in turbo, and what this fan's going to do, and it does it really well, I've put some heat testing at the end of the video to show you. It will hold its full output for at least 1 minute, and you can hear the little fans come on, and that's maximising the output for us and creating a really usable 12,000 lumen setting and keeping the temperature down quite nicely. And what the constant current refers to is that if we're not in turbo, and that's either because the turbo has hit its 1 minute or just over 1 minute step down, or alternatively using the light on its high level, if it does need to cool itself off a touch, it will do. The fan will come on, you can hear the fan still on, cooling it down. I found when I've been using it outside, sometimes the fans come on, sometimes it hasn't. It depends on the temperature, but it will hold that 2,600 lumens high or 3,000 lumens on the step down from the turbo. It will hold that for as long as your battery holds up, thanks to this heat dissipation and the fan design, which I really like. And given that we've got three Cree 70.2s tucked in there, I think that runtime performance / heat performance is really good. The other feature of the X1, let me pick low, for example. So we can program the actual output. So low at 40 doesn't necessarily have to be low at 40 lumens. Let me quickly pop on the screen there what the variations are that you can work through. So low can be 20 to 400 lumens. The next level up can be 400 to 1000, 1000 to 2000, and 2000 to 3000. And it's really easy to change that. So when you're in the mode in question, it's one click and then hold. See it blink, and now it ramps all the way to its maximum and then back down to the lowest. And because I've done this in low, that's ramping between 20 and 400. You pick the lowest, the highest, or anywhere you want in between. I'm going to let it go back down to its low, back down to 40, and take your finger off, or in my case the thumb off the button, and now back down to the 40. And you can do that for any mode that you're in. And if you get it wrong and you kind of muck it all up, or you want to put it back to where it was, or factory settings, from the locked out state, you can see our little blinky there telling us that we're locked out. It's one click, 2 clicks, 3 clicks, and the light will come on now to tell us that we've just done a factory reset. So have a mess about with that to your heart's content. And what I'll pop on the screen now is, and you can pause it if you wish, all the button combinations and how the UI works. And we'll take the X1 outside and have a look. But just one thing I just wanted to mention, let me find it. The manual was a little bit small for me to be showing on the screen, but this section here, which refers to when the product indicates low power, please charge or replace the battery. The light does have inbuilt over discharge protection, and this is just a general warning about not letting your batteries be completely flattened during general use, which is just general good advice. I put on the end of the video as well, speaking about batteries, there's two 21700 in there, and there is a warning in the manual. It says it quite clearly on the end there, do not disassemble. But you can actually remove this section here and replace those batteries. But I'll waffle on about that a little bit more, and I'll pop that right on the end of the video after we've had a look at it outside, along with the heat testing, because you might not be actually interested in any of those two things. Oh, and you know what I forgot? I did mention it right at the beginning, didn't I, when I was looking at the cable. Here's our USB port with our super fast charging, about 2 hours to charge the light back up full. So without further ado, let's go out and have a look. Hi folks, I'm out with the X1. I'm starting off on its lowest mode in one of my usual spots. Let me pop a picture of where I am and go to our next mode. And as we can see, certainly plenty of light there for us to be working with, but let's go up another level. Very, very floody, isn't it? I'm not moving the light, I'm just moving the camera. Everything in my immediate vicinity is lit up, but nothing in the distance down there. So let's go up another level. That's looking really impressive now, isn't it? Beg your pardon, let me get it right. So that's our high mode, 2600 lumens. Probably how you would be using the light more often than not, perhaps. Loads and loads of light to be working with there. Again, let's have a pan around. And then turbo. My God. Again, let me pan the camera. I'm not moving the torch. And as mentioned earlier on, we've really got a usable amount of turbo, at least 60 seconds, with the help of the inbuilt fan. And then if we go back to our fan, just kicked in there, go back to our high, and we can walk around all night long. Well, as long as the battery lasts, about 2 hours was it? We can walk around all night on that very impressive setting there without losing any output whatsoever. Let me move along and show you a different spot. A touch further on, folks, with the Wuben. Let me make sure I'm on lowest mode. A quick look around. Plenty of usable light, and I can't emphasise, by the way, just changing the subject slightly if I may, how useful that programming is. So if you don't like that, change it. I'm personally happy with it, but you can tinker around, as mentioned, and program these levels however you want. Come up again. Come down the side of that lake. And up to high. We just swap hands. Have a look down the side of this lake. And you can see we're getting into the distance there very, very easily. A little bit further. Yeah, we're making it there fine, and then turbo. That's very, very impressive, isn't it? And again, I can't go on about enough, that little fan is really going to make my turbo time useful. It's quite cool this evening, so the fan hasn't kicked in, so I reckon I'm going to get longer than a minute. Oh, he says, I don't know if you can hear it. Little fan's just kicked in. It's going to make sure my turbo time remains usefully long. Let's have a look on the other side. Don't think you're going to be short of light, are you, folks? Back up to high. You see my little fan still going there. That's going to maintain our high mode and bring the temperature down. The fan will click off in a moment. Giving us that high mode. There we go. Fan's off. And we can wander around to our heart's content on this 3000 setting. As mentioned, and I make no apologies, 3000 lumens, sorry, 2600, 3000, however you set the ramp in, with no step down. And if you will allow me to waffle on a little bit longer, for the type of thing that I'm using this light for, which is sort of wandering around this lake probably for the next hour or so with Amy, I need a light with plenty of output, because that's just what I like. I like plenty of turbo, and I like good run times. 18650s, single 21700s, I just don't find that they last quite long enough for me. And when you do need the extra oomph, they can get quite toasty. Whereas this one isn't. And one last sweep. Just have to keep on avoiding that moon there. Don't think it's spoiled it though. And back to high. Brilliant. Highly recommended, folks. Go and get yourself one. A touch further on with the X1. I can't show you where I am because I haven't filmed at this place before, but I thought I'd just stop here and show you. Let me turn on the Wuben and go to a high mode. Straight away you'll get a gist of the type of area that I'm in. That we've got a tree line there in the distance. Tree line here really close to my left. And moving out, a grassy area obviously in front of me. So you can see when you're walking around on the high mode, you really are lighting everything in your immediate vicinity. In fact, let me not move the light and pan around, and then turbo. So whilst we're saying this light's a flooder, we're certainly getting the distance on there, aren't we? Perhaps ought to use this spot a little bit better. Not a little bit better, a little bit more. And then let's cycle through our modes. Eco, low, next, high, and turbo. Okay folks, I'll catch you on the next one. Now, whilst the X1 is advertised as having inbuilt 21700 batteries, you may think, as I thought, that then perhaps the flashlight is limited to the lifespan of the batteries. But if we take a look on the bottom there, do not disassemble, those little 4 screws on the corner, we can actually take this section off and access the two 21700s that are inside. Now, I did ask Wuben about that, and their answer was that they don't recommend anybody other than a professional person, or capable person I suppose, going in and tinkering around with the batteries. And I'd strongly recommend, if you do have an issue with the batteries within the lifespan of the warranty, then you simply contact Wuben and deal with it as a warranty matter. And looking at those screws there, you can see it's certainly not intended that you regularly go in or routinely muck about with those batteries, bearing in mind there's 2 in series, not parallel. But 4 years down the line, and suppose it's out of warranty, and the batteries, as they do wear out, you do have this option. I'm going to pause a little bit now. You don't want to see me trying to furk around with these screws, so I'll be back with you in a moment. Using the crack tool certainly helps, but the first thing I've noticed, the screws, they're coming out relatively easily, but there's quite a bit of pressure there, so kind of undo these with care equally each side, otherwise what's going to happen is it's going to unduly tilt one way and possibly risk putting stress and cross-threading these screws. So look at the amount of pressure there. I'm having to put quite a bit on it, so I'll carry on. There really was a lot of pressure there on these batteries, and you got towards the end of unscrewing them, and as the cap comes off, I'll just warn you now, the moment it does, all of a sudden I go ping, and all these little screws that are going to be so difficult to replace go and fly in all directions, which I was expecting, and put up a little blocker. Otherwise that would have brought a very unhappy end to your day, having lost all the screws. So let's have a look what we've got in here. Oh yeah, the Wuben ABD 4800. I'll grab the spec of those batteries, just pop them on the screen, and if you are going to replace your batteries, make sure that you use a decent battery, preferably those recommended by the manufacturer, and Wuben do supply these separately, either for use with this light or indeed any other that it may be compatible with. Don't be putting any old rubbish in there that you've got off eBay or something mismatched like this. That's just not going to have a happy ending if you go and put in mismatched batteries. But just to re-emphasize again, within the lifetime of the warranty, leave it up to Wuben. So I'll put it back together and we'll have a look at something else. Okay, let's have a look at the X1's turbo and heat and step down performance. Quick check. Temperature before we start, 16. I already know what's going to happen, so I'll just summarise it for you quickly and then prove it, which is, as claimed and advertised, the X1 will hold its maximum output, 12,000 lumens, for at least 1 minute. Initially the batteries will just steady out a little bit and we see a drop at the start, then you'll see it remains constant. The fan will come on at about 20 seconds, and as mentioned, then we'll hold the full 1 minute at least, and then it'll drop and hold again as advertised, the 3,000 lumens continually thereafter. So you can just skip this part if you wish, but I will just show it to you. Nevertheless, let's start our timer. Double click. What's our lux meter reading? 495, and as mentioned, the batteries will just settle out in a second. 485 then, something like that. 30 seconds in. Don't know whether you can hear it now, the fan's just kicked in for us. The fan is temperature regulated, so you're going to get some variance depending on where you're using the light. 33. As you can see, it's warmed up quite nicely. $470 on the lux meter. We're over 1 minute. I'm expecting the drop any. Oh, there we go. Right on cue. There goes our drop, just over 1 minute. Down to our high mode. And the temperature 43. As mentioned, it's going to hold that now. It's going to get boring now. You're just going to look at the lux meter there and that timer. And it's going to happily tick along and hold that level until we need to turn off because we get bored of watching it, or which I will do very quickly. Or you need to recharge the batteries. Our fan's gone off, doesn't feel the need at the moment. So it's taking the temperature down to 39. As you can see, it's starting to, no, is it? Yeah, starting to creep up slightly. As mentioned, it all does depend on where you're using this light, but the fan will come on and off as required to maintain that high level. And what are we? 2 minutes 40 in. I'll leave that running for a while. Just approaching 10 minutes, folks. Temperature's holding nice and stable for us. No need for the fan. 20 degrees ambient temperature, and as you can see from the lux meter, sitting there quite happily, holding that high 3000 lumen output.